Sacrifice. In a culture of constant consumption and the quest for comfort, just the word itself can feel like a downer, something hard, something difficult, something we would rather avoid. We hear the word sacrifice, and it's easy to think of some kind of dutiful drudgery, of giving up something that we would rather hang on to. But actually, as I've pondered the word and its meaning, I've realized that many, if not most, of the sacrifices I've made in my life and continue to make are not out of a dutiful drudgery, but out of love. Take, for example, my children. After the birth of each one of my children, Scott and I met with our insurance agent to increase our life insurance. At the time, in our young lives and careers, we didn't have much money, but we were both clear that no matter what the cost, if something happened to us, we wanted our children and those who would be caring for them not to have to worry about finances. So part of our meager income at the time went to life insurance payments. As they got a little older, another significant part of our income went to fund their future education. We were determined that if they chose to go to college, there would be resources available. Then there were the years and years and years of payments to orthodontists so that all three of them would one day have beautiful, healthy, confident smiles. Each and every one of those expenditures, and others that I won't recount, represented sacrifices for us. Those commitments meant there were a lot of other things that we didn't do for ourselves. Vacations were simple affairs, usually involving tent camping in national parks. Dinners out were a real treat back then. Anniversaries and other celebrations were simple as well. You know what I'm talking about because many of you made the same kinds of sacrifices for your children, or you're making them now. We do without, we put off, we constantly reorganize our priorities as our children grow in order to give them what they need for a healthy, productive start in life. But for Scott and I, and probably for you as well, those sacrifices were anything but drudgery. We made them willingly and with joy for one reason and one reason alone, because we loved our children so much. Our complete love and commitment toward their welfare made those decisions and those sacrifices a joy and a blessing. It wasn't always easy to manage, but we believed that those sacrifices were the right thing to do and that God would honor the importance of those commitments and enable us to honor them. Looking back, having provided those gifts to our children was one of our greatest joys and pleasures. In the 21st chapter of Luke, verses 1 through 4, Jesus is sitting in the temple across from the treasury where people are giving their gifts. He watches as obviously wealthy folks place their gifts in the receptacle. Then he sees a poor widow approach the receptacle and place 2 small copper coins in it. And he says to his disciples, "Truly I tell you, this poor widow has put in more than all of them. For all of them have contributed out of their abundance, but she, out of her poverty, has put in all she had to live on." Jesus makes the point that a sacrifice is not determined by the size of the gift, but by what it represents to the giver. In that sense, this woman's gift clearly represented the greatest sacrifice that Jesus witnessed that day. But my question for us to think about is, why do you think she made such an extravagant gift? What do you think motivated such a gift? Did she do it because someone told her she had to? Because she felt guilty? Because she felt pressured to make a show of her giving? I don't think so. No, I believe that she did what she did for love. I believe she made that sacrifice out of love, love for God, and the desire to honor God with all that she had, with the first and best of what she possessed. And I would imagine that giving that gift, like any sacrifice made for love, no matter what the size, brought her immense joy. I would imagine her heart was full as she walked away from the temple that day, knowing she had made a sacrifice of love and gratitude for a God who loved her and had blessed her with life and with the ability to give back in response to that life and that love. Jesus made the ultimate sacrifice for each and every one of us. And it too was a sacrifice that was motivated and grounded in God's perfect love for us and for this world. From Christ and from this widow, we learn that in the end, no matter how challenging it may be, a sacrificial commitment given in love for what we love, whether it's a sacrifice of our time, our resources, or our talents, brings joy. Such a sacrifice is not drudgery, but joy. As we each continue to pray, God, what do you want to do through me? I pray God will lead all of us in considering the extravagant love God has for us and the ways that love blesses us and the sacrifice of love we can make for God's purposes and work through God's church. And in the end, I pray that whatever sacrifices we make will bring us great joy. Thanks for listening, and make it a great day.